take that with you. But we have to cut the cake, or you have to cut the cake, John, and you have to.
Have a raffle to see who wants to put the knife in.
Yeah, well. Yeah. Right, John, you better go and go on, John, cut the cake. Drum roll.
Where?
Go on, John. Where are you gonna go, John? Hang on, John. Wait. Paparazzi are just arriving. Hang on. Here we go.
Say when?
So just wait. There we go. There we go. Go on. Oh.
That's all right.
Oh. Done like a true professional.
I'm leaving it for you.
True professional. Ryan, could you just spin that chair round to the other side of the table, just for John for the end? Okay, that's the cake cut. So we're on to the main event. So without further introduction, here's our John. Are you switched on?
I don't know. Am I switched on, Dave?
Can we hear? Well, John, here we are.
Yeah.
18 months after we kind of decided what we were going to do.
Yeah.
And we all started back in, was it January 25? You started coming up to our house and we sat down and you chatted. I recorded, I listened, and 23 hours of audio later, it is available if you wish to have the CDs. We had the beginnings of your story, which tonight is the combination of all that. After we started writing, or I drafted, you then checked it for preciseness to make sure I'd understood what you were saying, which wasn't always easy. My wife Jane, she then proofed it, did the first proof, and then we put it on to Nigel and Carol, who did some further editing. And then, of course, we had the book cover design, which Robin, Robin's here tonight somewhere?
Yeah, he's here somewhere, Robin.
There's Robin at the back, helped design the cover. And I know we're really indebted to all of them for their help in what you've got here tonight. So thank you. Thank you, team.
The only thing about that cover is they don't believe it's me on there.
Yeah, we have had one or two people say, who's that good-looking bloke with John? Anyway, let's go back.
That was a few years ago.
Yes, it was, which is exactly where we need to go with this. 15th of September, 1940. The year, the month, the day you were born. Battle of Britain Day. And you were on the way, literally, to Southmead Hospital.
Yeah.
Bombs were falling.
Yeah.
And you were being
in the ambulance
taken up to
Southmead
Hospital, which of course features later on in your story, which we'll come on to later. So, you were born. You came into this world.
Well, I used to tell a story about it, but basically, I was in the ambulance going down past Eastville Park, and up on the hill, because Bristol was surrounded with aerodromes and docks, they had these big guns, and this gun up on top of Purdown was known as Purdown Percy. And as the ambulance went down past Eastville Park, so I'm told, the gun went off, frightened my mum to death, and she had me in the ambulance on the way.
Yeah, we're going off script already here, but never mind. That is in the book.
You also said how weird you come out.
Yeah, well, I think you read the book, you'll probably be convinced. Tell us a little bit about your family, John.
Well, I was born into a family of 5. I had 3 sisters and a brother, and we were basically We like to say Knoll Park, but we was virtually in Knoll West, which was quite a difference of stature. And in those early years, I can remember pushing an old pram up and down the road, fetching coal and things, and life was quite tough. And of course, most of the things in those days was delivered by horse and cart, you know, and the ladies used to queue up to catch the dung in the flow because it was good for the roses. And they used to have buckets and shovels behind the wall to run out.
Right, that's very interesting, John, about the buckets and the dung, but I did ask you about your family.
Well, I did tell you I had 3 sisters and a brother, and most of our years, I really don't want to say too much because quite of it's in the book, but we had quite a tough life. We had a mother that had a boiler stick, and she knew how to use them. But we was very well disciplined.
Yeah.
But we had a good life. We used to.
Your dad was quite an authoritarian figure, wasn't he, as well?
He was. My dad was a cooper by trade, a barrel maker, and I used to go and watch him as a kid, making barrels and that. But he was a lovely bloke, but he was disciplined.
Yeah.
We didn't get out of line. If he said sit there, you sat there, and that sort of thing.
And he had your best interests at heart because he encouraged you to take up boxing. Which
Well, he didn't encourage me. I was 7 years of age. He marched me down to Lawrence Hill with my brother and chucked us in the boxing gym. And he said to the guy, I remember it, toughen they up. That's what he said, toughen they two up. And that was the start of learning to look after myself.
Which again comes out in the book in a few places where you felt you had a need to look after yourself.
Well, I never suffered fools lightly. I had, as a kid, I used to have glasses, and I don't know if you can remember in the Warriors, you had wire things, and I used to go down to school and they used to say, 4 eyes, bang, break the glasses, and my dad was taking me down every week to get the glasses mended.
Right. Well, you managed to get through school. You survived school, I think.
Yeah, I was in a school of 400 boys, Wells Road School.
Yeah. And you left school at 15?
15.
Yeah. And then
started at Fry's.
Started at Fry's, Fry's Chocolate Factory, which is, well, it's gone now, but obviously the complex is still there.
But I was a good footballer, and I played for Fry's before I left school.
Yeah.
And got to know the personnel manager, and well, we don't say nod, wink, wink, but eventually I got in because of the sports.
So because you were a good footballer, you got a job at Fry's?
Sorry? Yeah.
So because,
Yeah.
Things were very different in those days, very different. Again, we have to sort of skip out quite a lot because otherwise we won't get through everything. But after you eventually decided you were going to leave Fry's and join the Merchant Navy. Why did you decide to leave Fry's?
Well, I suddenly found that I was pretty good at my job, although I say it myself, and every time a promotion come up, it was overlooked because somebody's father was up in different parts, just as a piece, and I wasn't getting any opportunities. So I said to myself, I don't need this sort of life. And I just found a leaflet on the Merchant Navy, wrote away, ended up in Liverpool in 1961. I was 21 on the Thursday, I left Fry's on the Friday, and I was in the Merchant Navy on the Monday.
Wow.
And there started another story.
Another story or two. Was a few chapters about your time in the Merchant Navy and some of the things that happened to you and some of the people you met, some very colourful characters, which again we haven't really got time to touch on. But
well, there's a few on board ship. I remember the first time I crossed the equator, and the chief engineer come up and said, That's it, it's a round of drinks. I said, what's the round of drinks for? Because there was about 19 officers on the ship, besides the crew. And he said, we just crossed the equator. You got to buy a round of drinks. So I thought, I don't like this. The next thing he said we was going across another line. I thought, where's it going? But the funny thing about it, one day he come up to me and he said, what day is it? And I said, I think it's Tuesday. He said, you sure? I said, yeah, I'm sure. He said, it's Robbie Burns Day. I said, who the hell is he? He said, look, he's a big poet. I said, of course, they're all Scotsmen on the ships, you know, he's their idol. And so it cost me another round of drinks. So life was pretty.
And I think we worked out afterwards it wasn't Robbie Burns Day anyway.
Sorry?
I don't think it was Robbie Burns Day anyway.
No.
I think we worked it out, but never mind. Anyway, moving on. You're now in the Merchant Navy. You've come home for a bit of shore leave, and you met somebody called Hilary. Tell us a little bit about the first time you met her.
Well, the first time I met her, I didn't know I really met her. That's the be truth. I was in the Wingrove in
the Wingrove. That's your local pub.
Local pub. And I was having a quiet beer, and somebody said to me, "How are you getting on in the Navy, easy?" And I said, "Oh, all right." And then this little old woman got up on the side. She said, "What Navy are you in?" I said, "Merchant Navy." "Oh," she said, "my son's in the Navy." I said, "Oh, is he?" She said, "What line are you on?" I said, "Blue Funnel." "Oh," he said. "Oh," she said, my son's on Blue Funnel." "Oh." I said, "Well, I'm in engine room." He said, "Oh, he's deck officer." And we had a chat there, and I can't remember chat. I remember quite a little conversation, but nothing to it. And I'd go home on that night, and on the next day, as usual, Sunday morning, I went and had a couple of pints, and I went back up to my house
this
with my
is in
mum.
Charlton Road.
Charlton Road. No, it was in Coronation Avenue at that time. And I said to my mum, I said, I'm going to walk out on the estate, because they was building the Park Estate. It was when I went away, half the houses that were there when I came home after 7 months. You know, there was quite a few more houses. So I decided to walk through this estate. And I'm walking down Charlton Road, minding my own business, and then stood at the top of this road was this bird, we're all done up to the nines, blonde hair, and she said, "Oh, you remembered then? I'd apparently made a date to see her at 4:30 that day, and I turned up exactly at 4:30. And I took her out for the evening, and the rest is history. You know, 60 odd years later, yeah.
But you didn't know you were meeting her for a date?
No, I didn't know, no.
Which required you to do a lot of thinking on your feet.
Yeah, well, once I was, I wasn't doing nothing particular, I was just going to go into town. I took her in town with me.
But if you'd not gone down that road at that time...
That's right. Yeah. Well, it was really a chance meeting.
Certainly two people that wouldn't be here now.
Yeah.
Lovely to see you, Andy and Deb, John's son and daughter. Okay, we'll move on. This is in the book, by the way, so you can flick through a couple of chapters here if you wish, but I was sure there's a lot more detail here that we're having to leave out. 1964, you got married and settled down, and that's where, in due course, you had a beautiful son and a beautiful daughter.
Yeah, got married in Keynsham Church.
Got married in Keynsham Church. And moving on through your early years, it's clear you had a passion for Skittles. You liked playing Skittles.
I was good at it.
Yeah, and you were good at it. I don't think there's much you weren't good at. And then there's one particular story where you talk about you and some slippers. Tell us a little bit about you and your slippers.
I took these two in a pushchair to Weston all day, And there's another story about the bus, but that's fine. And I get home,
Someday.
and I've been out all day, as I say, and Hillary said to me, "You've had a hard day." She said, "Why don't you go and have a pint at the pub?" Which was fine enough. So I left them and I walked up the pub. I only had a few shillings in my pocket and I was my slippers. And I sat in the bar in the Wingrove, and this bloke come and he said, "Oh," he said, "I'm glad to see you." I said, he said, "We're in the semi-final of the cup, the Skittles, and we're one short. You need to come." I said, "No," I said, "I've got my slippers on, I haven't got no money." He said, "Don't worry about that." He said, "Get in the car and I'll drive you down and I'll bring you straight back." Well, the place we was going was Long Ashton, which is to the right other side of town. And we get down there and we actually win, they actually win the thing, but we're driving in the car on the way back. I said, "Which car am I in?" They said, "You're getting that." And so I got back. I said, "You should turn left there." He said, no, the road's shut." I said, "No, it ain't." No, he said. And the next thing you know, he pulls up out of sight, Vicky's nightclub on Park Street. And he's getting out and he said, "Right, oh yeah, you've got to have a tie to go in here." So he said, "Where's my tie?" He took it off and he pulled a penknife out and he slid it down. He said, "Now you've got a tie." He said, "Now you want some money?" "Oh, I'll give you some money." I said, "But how am I going to get home?" "Oh, we'll worry about that later. Let's go in here and we've won the night, I come out there 2 o'clock in the morning. What didn't you have those days? Phone. You couldn't phone home and say, "Oh, I'm late, I'm in trouble." You just took the consequences when you got home. And there was quite a few over the years.
Right, yeah. There is a beginning to that story and the end to that story, which we won't go into now because it's kind of fun for you guys to read it when you get the book.
Yeah.
But that was someday.
Yeah.
That was someday, one of many. You eventually left the Merchant Navy and you had a few other jobs.
Yeah, I couldn't settle.
Some successful, some not, including being a window cleaner.
Yeah.
And falling off your ladder.
Yeah, in the roses.
Into the roses. And then eventually you find a job at Southmead Hospital.
Southmead Hospital, yeah.
As the sort of site manager and engineer bod and looking after things. And amongst your time there, and you recount several stories in there about your time there, there's one story in particular I thought it would be good to hear a little bit of and hear it straight from the book. So I'm going to ask my wife Jane to come up and read a very short extract from the book so you get a feel for how the book actually comes together. Come on, dear. The longer you take to walk up here, the longer this is going to take.
She knows because she's read the book 5 times.
Turn those things off. You want me to go and turn the heaters off on the food? Oh, Robin can do that. He knows how to do that. Okay, all right. I'm being told off here. Yeah. That'll be all right. Yeah.
Right. One morning, I got a call from a doctor.
Hang on, we haven't got the mic on. Let's try again. Turn up a bit, please, Dave. Go.
One morning, I got a call from a doctor in outpatients informing me that he had a male patient with him who'd spun a pair of scissors around on his thumb with such vigour that he'd now got them stuck below the thumb joint. The doctor then went on to explain that as his standard NHS ring cutter wouldn't even scratch the toughened metal scissors, he wondered if I might have something that might help resolve the situation. So off I went to outpatients, where sure enough I found a somewhat perplexed man with a pair of scissors well and truly jammed over his thumb. Diving into my toolbox, I produced a small disc grinder. I'm not sure who was more surprised at this, the doctor or the patient, but nevertheless, with a nod from the doctor, I set to work. So here I was, somehow now working in A&E. I'm not too sure what everyone else thought was going on, as the screeching noise of my cutter filled the air, but as carefully as I could, I slowly and methodically ground through the top half of the finger loop before setting about the underside. Well, everything was going great until just before I was about to grind the last few millimetres.
Right. Okay, John, so you're just doing the final part of the cut. What happened then?
I had a fitter working for me called Ivor Neville, who had 3-4 fingers missing, and he said to the guy, I wouldn't let him do that, he practiced on me. And with that, the bloke fainted.
And I think at that point you made a very hasty exit
Yeah,
and just left
yeah.
the doctor to...
It was successful, we got it off.
I think I remarked that if the guy then made a complaint, who was ever going to believe him anyway? Somebody from engineering came in and cut his ring off, so you got away with that one, John, I'm sure you did. Time's sort of against us in terms of, again, going into a lot of detail, but your time at Southmead Hospital, around 10 years?
16
years. But as that time moved on, there was one point where you had an accident.
Yeah.
You had a serious accident. You were trying to do the right thing. We don't need to go into the details, but you're trying to help your men, your team, and things went wrong, and it was you.
March 31st, 1980.
Yeah. So
11:30 in the morning.
Yeah, a significant moment.
Yeah.
In your life, which affected you mentally, physically, spiritually, we could say, and followed sort of a time of sort of quite a dark time for you.
10 years.
Yeah, 10 long
10
years.
years when I didn't know whether I was going to live properly, what was going to happen, whether I was going to make a living. I had no idea.
Yeah, and you weren't that old, were you?
49 when I was told I'd never work again.
Yeah, okay. Things were difficult for you when you had a young family to bring up. But of course, Hilary was always there for you. She was your rock and your strong tower. And there was a time when you were in hospital again, I think for your fourth operation. 3 operations have been unsuccessful, and the 4th one was due with a degree of skepticism about it, but you were in hospital. Hilary wasn't with you on that particular night, was she, the night before your operation? Where was she?
Well, I didn't know at the time, but I found out she'd come to this place, the church here.
Yeah, which was the old church on this site.
There was a leaflet stuck through the door about a Elim mission, and she was so worried about me because 3 times I should have ended up in a wheelchair, and I didn't. But the doctor said this time, if it goes in, I'd almost certainly end up in a wheelchair. And so she was so worried about me. She didn't tell me any of this. I only found out this after, that she'd come here.
So she came here and she
I knew nothing about it.
Yeah. And she asked people to pray for you, for your situation.
Yeah.
And again, you didn't know anything about this.
Well, I found out after, on the Friday morning.
Is this the day after, the evening?
The day I was going to have my operation was the Friday, and I woke up and early in the morning I was first on the list. I had the pre-med and I was down into the anaesthetic room when the surgeon come in and said to me, I ain't doing this, John. He said, it's too dangerous for you. He said, I'll come and talk to you when I finish my round. I said, so I ring Jill. She thinks I'm in the operating theatre being done. And I ring her to come and pick me up, take me home. And all these other stories came after it about her being down here.
So there was an intervention which happened, which prevented you or caused you not to have this operation, which
Yeah.
is clearly...
Something happened
Yeah.
between that night and I surmised many things. I think it was an intervention of the prayer.
Yeah.
But that's
Okay.
my take on
Yeah.
it.
So you didn't have the operation, you came home, again, still having to piece your life back together
Yeah.
again. Hilary was starting to come to the church a little bit more regularly,
Yeah.
and she'd made a commitment.
Yeah.
And you eventually followed her. You came here.
Yeah, she said she's coming down one Sunday night, and there's your tea, and there's, you've got everything you need. Oh, I said, hang on a minute. So I put my hat and coat on. I have no idea why, and I'll come with you, and I've never missed since.
No. And you had an encounter with God, with the higher,
Yeah.
and became a Christian, and your life
Yeah.
is with the church
Yeah.
ever since, which
Yeah.
again you describe it in the book in
Yeah.
some detail. You then, your life changed. I'm sure it'd be so corny, but we felt that was the right title for the book, because things changed for you, didn't they?
Yeah.
Very dramatically. And one of the chapters in the book is about you and a minister called Duncan Franklin
Yeah.
and his grown-up son driving out to Rzhev in Russia
Yeah.
with supplies and medical need, because Duncan needed help, and you said, if I can help in some way, I can. I appreciate originally you weren't going to go to Russia, you were just going to help him. But
Yeah.
you
Well, I
kind
spent 3 years sending probably 300 tons of aid when the Iron Curtain fell out to there, and the only reason I was able to go was it was a medical mission, and therefore I had no lifting to do, whereas
Right.
on the lorries, if you want to go, you had to be able to drive a HGV, and you had to be able to be strong to
Okay.
lift.
So you travel out to Rzhev in
No.
Duncan's car,
1993.
yeah, in Duncan's car with his son,
Yeah,
and this is the car that never came back.
that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, which again is a whole story of how you go out in a car, but you don't come back in a car,
No.
which again is fascinating read. When you eventually get to Rzhev in Russia with medical supplies and
Yeah.
aid and so on and so forth, you're put up by the local church there, which
That's right.
Duncan had connections
Little-
with that
little
church.
flat thing.
And one of the church team there was a young girl called Marina.
Marina.
Can you give us just a little bit about Marina?
Well, she was 14 years of age. She was a beautiful looking girl, but the best thing was she spoke really good English. So I was able to learn a bit about the thing. And at that time I was helping some dancers, so I thought she might know something about Russian dance and things. So it was a two-way thing.
And she was a musician?
Musician? Yeah, she played the keyboard, but the keyboard they had belonged to the Americans. And so the very next trip that went out there, I put a keyboard on there for her.
Right.
And so she had her own keyboard.
Okay, and that really was the beginning of a long relationship which still runs today.
She's married with 4 kids, and she's got grandsons now, but she was 14, and I had the pleasure, I think it might come out a bit in the thing.
So you've stayed in contact with her, and when you were out in the USA a few years back, you actually visited her.
I
didn't you?
visited them when they lived in Kentucky.
Yeah.
When I flew to do with the film Stepping Stone Miracles, we did a tour, and I met her on that tour.
Okay.
And when her husband passed his pilot's test, he was told he could fly anywhere in the world if he wanted free, and he wanted to come to London. So Marina rang me, and I went to London, took him out, and took him all the sights.
Right. And we've got a short message from her, haven't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, if we could see the video, 3-minute video.
I'm Marina Smaransky.
And I'm Dimitri Smaransky, and we live near Atlanta, Georgia.
I met Brother John Hayes when I was just 14 years old and living in Rzhev in Russia. And Brother John came in October of 1993 to visit our young church plant. It was planted by American missionaries just a year before, and I was serving on the worship team of the church. And Brother John came with his friends, Dr. Hutchins and Duncan Franklin and his son David, and they visited our apartment and met my family, and we enjoyed having them over for tea. And we were all drawn to Brother John just because of his obvious love for the Lord and his kindness and his joyful spirit. And after he left, we continued to write each other letters. I was just learning English, so I was thankful for the opportunity to practice English. And then when I was 16 years old, I came to the United States to study. And a few years later, I met my husband, Dimitri, and we got married and started our family.
Around 2003, I had an opportunity to fly to England on a last moment decision kind of thing, and Brother John and his wife were very gracious in picking me up in London and hosting me and showing me around, and it was just an absolutely wonderful experience.
And then in 2007, in January, Brother John came to the States, and we had the joy of hosting him. He got to meet our two young daughters. We just had a wonderful time reconnecting. But all through the years, we've exchanged numerous letters and cards, and we've been very thankful to continue the connection. And then in 2009, we got to go together to England again, and Brother John and his amazing wife Hillary hosted us, and Brother John drove us around and showed us all the famous sites, and we enjoyed their hospitality and Sister Hillary's delicious cooking, and we had a wonderful time together. And so we are so thankful that Dimitri and I have been able to spend time with Brother John, and then Dimitri's mom got to meet him, and also my parents, and we are just looking forward to hopefully in the near future to come and visit England with our daughters, and we're actually expecting our first grandchild in August, and so we would love for Brother John to see our family again, and we're continuing to pray for him and for great health and for continued opportunities to serve the Lord and to show God's love to people in England or whatever countries he goes to. Hi, Marie.
That's wonderful. Really, really great.
Yeah.
Once met, never forgotten, John.
Well, yeah.
After Russia, there was Poland.
Yeah.
There was Poland and another mission. Again, we haven't got time. Time is just racing away. But there's a wonderful story which John tells of some large gnome-like wishing wells and an encounter with an angel. And as strange as that sounds, you need to read the chapter and read the book to fill in the missing points there of that particular part of your journey to Poland, which was something quite remarkable. Back in the UK, sometime later, the church approached you and asked you if you could put somebody up.
Yeah.
And this was a playwright, an actor, a teacher, by the name of Dan Niedermeyer, an American guy who was over here doing some drama teaching.
He was working with Hayden, Hayden's here somewhere. He was working with Hayden, and they were going in the schools, and they were assisting A-level students, so maybe to learn the correct way to do things. You know, he was assisting them.
So you said, yes, I'll look after. I'll put Dan up.
Yeah.
Dan, a larger-than-life figure in every way.
Well, he was going to all the schools that I knew.
Yeah.
So I said to Hayden, well, I could take him along there. So, and that's how it all began.
And that seeded a relationship.
Yeah.
That the two of you just got on so well together, and that developed as
But that
Dan.
was good because we couldn't understand one another.
Well, yes, there was that. Dan had a very strong and rich American
yeah.
accent. We always were very baffled as to how the two of you ever communicated.
Well, he couldn't learn Bristolian, could he?
No. Well, we struggle with that sometimes, John, as well. So sometimes when we're nodding at you, it's not because we're agreeing with you. We're just trying to figure out what you're talking about. Anyway, Dan led a group that
Maranatha.
Maranatha Productions, and they put on passion plays, biblical
all sorts of dramas,
stories,
true life
dramas, and they came here to the UK. Dan came over with a small team of actors,
yeah,
and you helped him organise, not say the extras, but the rest of the cast, which came from our church.
yeah.
To put on
Well, I
this play.
started, you know, it's as if with almost nothing, and then by the time 10 years, when we was a profession thing, we had everything.
Like a road show, you went to various churches and
Yeah,
various
we
places.
took it all over the world.
Yeah,
we
yeah.
went.
Again, we just haven't got time to go into
No.
that. But one of those cast was a young girl called Leah.
Leah Bowers.
Again, somebody that you just kind of.
Well, she stayed in my home. When she came, she was again 14 when she came from America. And she was that young. Her dad came with her to chaperone her. But she was a brilliant actress.
Yeah.
And she loved it here so much, she went to the Romania camp.
Right.
One year.
Of course, the church are connected with that. Which
But I
you are.
stayed several times when I've been to Russia, to America. Her family have put me up.
Right.
And there's stories in there where even Hillary flew a plane, believe it or not.
Not flew a plane, flew in a plane.
Hillary flew a plane
In a plane.
in America.
She won.
Yeah, that's true. I thought she wouldn't get in, but she did.
We've got a video, haven't we? A short message
Yeah,
from
Leah, yeah.
from Leah and her dad. If you can see
My
that,
name's
please.
Leah Bowers, and this is my father.
He flew jets, this
And
guy.
we are just so grateful and thankful to hear that, John, you have invested your time and energy and talents into a new book. So we just wanted to say how proud we are and give a little bit of background of how we got ourselves involved in it. I was involved with Maranatha Productions, and I had the opportunity to travel to Keynsham and to participate in ministry work there, along with John and many others. And we also had the opportunity to then host John here in our home, which was my home at that period of time. And it was a blessing to share stories with one another and to be in ministry together with each other.
So, John, I remember one of our visits, we were sitting in the living room, I have to believe, not on your stool, but we had many conversations here in your stool. But you're telling us about all of your experiences, and it was just all these amazing experiences, how the Lord was just meeting you and working through you and others, and really the miraculous things the Lord was doing. I thought, you ought to write a book. And I think one time, one of the visits you had, we actually gave you a journal to help you on your way. And I understand you took that to heart, because out of that, I guess you've gotten a book. So we commend you for that. Thank you for sharing your experiences. We look forward to reading it, and we just commend you, and you're a blessing to all those around you. We just thank you. And thank you so much, John.
And we pray that as this book gets into the hands of others, that it will remind them that although it is easier to say no, that yeses have impacts too. Great impacts. So, John, we're proud of you. We love you. Thank you
Amen.
for sharing your story.
Bye-bye.
Bye. My name's Leah Bowers.
Young Leah has 5 children now.
Great stuff. Great stuff. Time is moving on. I just want to cover a few other points before we get on with the book signing. Eventually, Maranatha Productions closed, but as one door closed, as I think in your life,
Well,
another
that's
door.
the story of my life. Every time something came to an end,
Yeah.
something else happened. And I think you know the saying I always get,
Yeah.
sometimes it's easier to say no when you should have said yes.
Yeah.
And if I hadn't have said yes to half of these stories, nothing would have happened. So,
And a door opened, which was into prison ministry
yeah.
with a certain bloke called Ryan,
Oh,
Ryan
yeah.
Morton. Bit of a character.
Since 2010,
Right.
I've been with him.
Yeah, well, I think we better get him up here. Come on, Ryan, up you come. Let's give Ryan a round of applause.
Yeah.
Ryan is our pastor here, and I'm not sure who looked after who, whether it was John looking after Ryan or Ryan looking after John. How did John get involved in your prison work?
Well, yeah. Well, amazing, really, how it all started. It was quite miraculous. John, I think you rang me up or you spoke to me. Said I've been reading a book, correct me if I'm wrong, and my face kept appearing in this book. It's a book about a police officer who'd done time in prison. I think it's called Killing Time.
Yeah.
And as John was reading the book, my face apparently kept popping up, so much so that John just felt he had to contact me and perhaps try and get me to meet this guy. I've already been in prison ministry for, I don't know, maybe 15 years before that time. And so John knew I was in and out of prison for all the right reasons, may I add. And so, yeah, John contacted me, and so we saw this I forget his name, Lord Fellows, and met with him. Then John, I just love John. I've got to say, Debs and Mark, I love your dad. He's amazing. He can get me into a bit of trouble at times in the prisons, but I love him with all my heart. He's brave, he's strong, he's got so much courage. He's the complete opposite to me. I got none of those things, but we balance each other up. So, yeah, so he just mentioned to me one time, I'm quite willing to come with you and just
offered to
drive me there and sit outside and wait for me. And I thought, wow, that's amazing. It really was. And I thought it was so incredible. So I thought, well, you know what, John, why don't we link up? We'll go together, and but just rather than, sit outside, come in with me. And then the whole venture began, yeah.
Right, and again, the book describes some of the adventures and some of the things that happened to you visiting or going into prisons. And then things move on with the prison ministry, that you're in Bangor, Maine, over in the States, visiting your sister.
My sister, yeah.
And she invited you to go into a prison with a particular
she knew I had a real passion for prisons.
Yeah.
So she knew a chaplain in a prison over there in Bangor, Maine, and I said, is there any chance you can try and get me in? And cut long story short, we've done a number of tours there. And we went on one, John, didn't we? And I think I went on one previously. I took my wife, Sarah, she used to sing in the prisons with me, and I used to preach. And then, do you want me to go on about how we got into...
Well, in Bangor, Maine, you went in there and you were asked to use your weights.
Well, that's right. So my sister knew the chaplain, told, just in conversation over coffee, my brother Ryan, he used to, because he knew me, I'd been there already, probably a year previously. He said, Ryan used to do a bit of weightlifting back in the day. And suddenly, a light bulb come on in his mind with an idea to say, why don't we get Ryan in the prison gym and share about the gospel, about Jesus, and but also combine it with weightlifting. And Rachel excitedly contacted me, and I wasn't wanting to entertain it. I haven't weightlifted or anything like that for years. Was happy to just go in and out of prisons preaching, but he said he's going to Skype you deal with it. So I spoke to him, didn't we, John? We sat together, and he's a great chaplain, lovely guy, and I just didn't have the heart to say no. There was points where I wish I did, but I just didn't have the heart. So cut long story short, Alan, we were invited to go into the prison gym and to do something with the weights.
And the inmates were fairly intimidating.
Fairly intimidating. Well, I found them, John was all right with it. He's just so brave. Me, I found them very, very intimidating. Everyone's just bigger in America, aren't they? Huge, covered in tattoos and scars. And so they had
40 of them.
40 of them, something going on in the gym. And so they came into the gym. The 9 that normally came to the chapel service didn't show up, and I knew why when I saw the guys walk in. And now we're going to have a no-show. And to be honest with you, between you and me, I was quite happy with that. I just want to get out of there. But you could hear the doors opening and slamming, and you know, any second, what it felt for me is like my life was going to end. They come through the door, and they were huge, and I thought, they just had a look on their face. They'd like to eat this English boy and his partner there. So, yeah, they came into the gym, and
that was the beginning, although you didn't know it, of something called Champion Lift.
That's right.
Which continued for a number of years with you touring many parts of the UK together as a team.
Yeah, definitely.
2012 was the London Olympics, and I think we travelled 40,000 miles that year, doing churches, prisons, everywhere.
Using the weights as a conveyance.
Yeah, we had a podium.
Yeah.
Gold, silver, bronze.
So with little medals and trophies.
And they used to go mad for the medals, and especially in the prisons.
Yeah. Right, so you found yourself together in prisons doing weightlifting.
Yeah, it was never our intention.
No.
We go there, they come in. I thought, Lord, if you're going to come again, come right now. It'd be a good time. So I'm really scared. And then the chaplain very quickly hands over to me. My knees are shaking. It's like the life and the blood just drained out of me. And then I just said, look, I'm a minister of the gospel, and also I'm an Olympic weightlifting style coach, and I'm here to find Bangor's Bangor Main's strongest man. And then they look relaxed. And we can do something with them, and we've done the demonstration, and the weight on the barges went up and up until we come to the champion. And it was great. It's just something that was so scary for me, turned out to be an amazing event. And we had a presentation of we got to the champion, then we sat them down, and I began to tell them about the champion above all champions, who lifted the weight that no man could lift. And that was Jesus when he died on the cross.
And so that ministry continued, as I said, for a number of years.
Well, he didn't want to do it again.
No, he didn't.
No, he come out, he said,
you've made that very clear in the book.
I don't want to do it again, you know.
And that's the truth. That is the truth.
He stitched you up a treat in that
He
book.
did. But flying out of Bangor, Maine, I just felt as though God was doing something in my heart. And 2012, the following year, because that was the end of 2011, is Olympic year in London. I knew a few people involved with that in London. And I just felt as though we got to do something for a year in just using the weights. And we committed to it. It actually ran for 7 years, didn't it?
Right.
And like John said, we travel thousands of miles. John would drive everywhere. And, so your book, I've got a book, I've got it signed, but I probably heard it a number of times before all of you. So, but it's great. I've got the live audio with me all the time. And guess what? We're still not finished. We've got some things in the pipeline. So things are good.
Still doing prison.
And along with Champion Lift, you guys found yourself in Rwanda, of all places.
Yeah.
And
Deb wasn't too happy about that, were you? No.
Again, we haven't got time to go into the details, but you found yourself, or you got into a prison. You invited into a prison in Rwanda. Yeah. What was that like?
Actually,
very briefly.
We weren't invited. We invited ourselves.
You invited yourselves.
So we're doing a bit of training over there for a number of weeks.
What sort of training? You mean
we were training up vicars and pastors to do evangelism on the streets.
Yeah.
Which I used to do, I'd done for 18 years at one time. So that's what we'd done. And at the end, the lady said, Marilyn, her name was, what would you like? You've done a great week. And this is to all the team, because there were a team of us. Would you like to do something nice? And people were saying, I'd like to go to that resort and check out that restaurant and hotel. And we said, can we go to our prison? And they looked quite shocked. So cut a long story short, we went to Prison Fellowship, said we can get you in there. It cost you £800. What? There's red tape. So I said, look, I've got £80 on me. Would that do? Yes, that will. We found ourselves, that £80 got me 2 prisons, so I was happy with that. So we found ourselves in a prison, yeah.
And did it in any way bear any resemblance to a UK prison?
Absolutely not. It was like a film set, John, wasn't it?
Well, the first one was a bit terrible because the actual day they sent us there was the day that all the inmates had their food, because in the Rwanda prison they're fed by their families. They're not fed by the state. Their families bring the food in on a Friday to feed them. So we turned up on a Friday.
With food as well, didn't we? We took a load of provisions.
Yeah, so we thought coming back down, because we drove 3.5 hours up over the hill, didn't we?
Oh, yeah.
And we was a bit disillusioned, and we said to our interpreter, "Do you think we should go tomorrow?" "Oh yeah," he said. Well, you really want to read the story of that in the book. It was unbelievable. It really was. That day we went in there.
It was.
He said, "Look at the fence, it ain't very high." And this bloke come out with a great machine gun.
I was so disappointed the day before, because I had to drive, because the missionary who looks after us said, like, "I'll pop off for a few days. Could you drive?" Like, if you've ever driven in Rwanda, let me tell you, you can drive there, you drive anywhere. Yeah. And we drove 3.5 hours, like John said, along the border of the Congo. It was so stressful, with an interpreter. Go there, God, great, the prison, drive into the prison, which is unusual as well. Dropped off the food, then they said, "Sorry, you can't come in." So we're disillusioned. I'm sort of having a little bit of a moan to the interpreter on the way back, so it was another 3.5 hours. I said, "There's no point going tomorrow, because this is going to happen again." He said, "No, I'll be fine tomorrow." And it was. We pulled up to this prison, we could hear music playing. We saw a queue of 200 ladies. We thought, fantastic, we've got something going on here. Then we followed the queue into like a big courtyard, and when we walked in, it was like a set. It was like a film set.
Yeah, it was. 1,500 prisoners.
Yeah, I mean, women, children, babies, everybody, like they'd been all slung in together.
There's a little bloke playing the.
Yeah, it was great, and it was like for me, it was like Christmas Day.
Right.
You always go, because prisons was really my thing. And I preached the gospel.
We're pinching each other to see if it's real.
And they were there because you were there. Which is an amazing thing that I'm sure we'll never ever forget.
Yeah, I never. Yeah. I can't believe it's one of those things that you think you've been in a film. It's intangible. You can't touch it. It's really. It really takes your mind. You see all these. Don't forget that most of these prisoners are from the genocide, you know, and there they are, and there's a whole sea of faces, all ages, all things, and the book playing the thing, and the warden that took us in gives the mic to him. He says, "Right, you are," and he's able to, and it was one of those moments. It was lovely. He preached, you know, a real sensitive.
Yeah, we flew out of there, didn't we? We were such a high.
Yeah, it was
like the best day ever, wasn't it?
We could have scraped us off the ceiling, you know, because it was one of those moments.
And in the middle of it is Ryan and Scrumpy.
Yeah, my old mate Scrumpy.
Yeah.
Well, obviously we haven't got time to go into it anymore, but thank you, Ryan, for sharing that with us. Thank you. Right, time is moving on. There was Romania, your time in Romania, working with me.
Well, that was your fault.
Yeah, that was my fault.
You showed what's the name?
He's well off script now, by the way.
A thing with about having no water, no taps, no what, and then you said, "You are Romanian style," and he just put a bucket on the thing. And I just said again, "I might be able to help you."
Yeah. And we went out.
And 5 times I think I went.
Put pumps down wells and
yeah.
It was great fun. And you were.
And they all used to make the sink units up in my garage, and I always remember they used to paint them fire engine red.
Yeah.
They wanted them fire engine red, so that's what they got.
Yeah. And your time in Romania again, you came out and helped with puppetry. Became a puppeteer.
Puppeteer, that was when I went to the camp.
The children's camp, yeah. Turned your hand to most things. Again, we haven't got time to go into that. One just one final thing, really. We read in the book about your life and your married life, especially. 58 glorious years. With some ups and some downs and some bits in between. And then, of course, there's a chapter which we simply called Hillary, which describes
I find it hard to read even now.
Where very openly, very sensitively, you just talk about that weekend when Hillary was so suddenly taken from you.
Yeah, I was in my daughter's house.
And perhaps we can just leave it at that, but it was something that you shared with me which touched me deeply, John, and it sort of unpacked a lot about your relationship and helped me understand more about your love for Hillary. So I've just got one final question. If Hillary was here tonight, what would she think about you writing a book about your life?
I was mad, I think. No, I all the years, and it's quite a few since because when I came here it was 1990, and right up to 2023, wherever I'd done and whatever I'd done in this church involved her, and in many ways she got the rough end of the stick. When I used to have the actors and that come over and stay with me, and I had to take them out, she would feed them, end up washing up, seeing to their shower towers, making the beds, all the things, and not once in all her life did she ever complain. And I found over the years, I would say that if it was possible to have a perfect partner, I think I was lucky enough to find one. I didn't always get my own way, but then that's part of life, isn't it? That's part of give and take. So yeah, I would say I missed her, but it was very fortunate. The weekend I lost her, we'd had a conversation. And it was the first time we'd been out since COVID. We were driving to our daughters, and on the way we talked about life, what would happen, because people was, dying and things. And we said, well, whoever goes first, the other one got to live the rest of their life. They got life for living. Get on with it, and don't look back. And I've looked back a few times, but I have continued to do what I do best, and that's come down here, visit my families. But I find this place, and I've been coming here since 1990. I find this place as I call it an oasis in the desert. I can come in here and I got friends, I got comrades, I got people that care. And for anybody who wants it, there is always opportunity. And I always say it's easier to sit out there and somebody whispers something and you think, oh, I ought to do that, and then you walk out when you should have said, I might be able to help. So I always say it's easier to say no and walk away than it is to say yes. Well, when you say yes, that's the only chance I had of doing all what has happened to me. Because every time an opportunity came up, I said yes.
Yeah. And should we write a book, John? And you said yes.
Yeah.
And here we are. And here we're, John.
And here we are.
Wonderful talking. Let's give John a round of applause. Yeah. Lovely, John.
Got to get my legs going.
Careful, John. As John gets himself prepared and gets his biro pen, fountain pen loosened up, we've got one final song. So Josh is going to sing one final song, and then it's the main event. It's the book signing. Cash or card will be accepted. £8 for a great read. You've probably had a smattering of about 5% of what's in the book, but I hope it's given you a little bit of a a taster of John's story and John's journey, please, if you can, purchase a book and enjoy it, share it, and if you have friends, and maybe even for Christmas, maybe a bit early, but maybe for them as well. Thank you so much for all of you for coming here tonight. It's been really great. It's nice for you to gather here for John. John has been looking forward to this, as we all have, for many months. So thank you for making this so special for all of us, and especially for dear John tonight as he signs his book. I can't believe we're actually doing this. This is just a wonderful, wonderful experience. I'll hand over to Josh, and may I wish you every blessing, and thank you again for coming and putting up with a warm evening.